please give the final App Promotion Summit London 2020 Working From Home virtual cheer to Michael as he takes to the stage. Over to you, Michael.
Thank you very much, James. Hi, my name is Michael. Now I work for Angle Connect. Actually, I'm a co-founder there, and I'm keen to share something advanced about my experience with Apple Search Ads. I have some basic webinars, but today I would better talk on some selected topics of advanced search ads management. So let's start. A few words about myself. I have 10+ years in mobile marketing. I'm ex-head of mobile marketing at Abby. And since the very first day of search ads availability, I run search ads campaigns by myself. And since last year, I'm search ads consultant. At Angle Connect, we do App Store optimization, Apple Search Ads, also trainings, and a couple of other things. Also, we at the moment have some promotion with some welcome code. But let's move on to agenda. First, I would make a quick recap of what we talked about last year at App Promotion Summit London 2019. And then I would dive deeper into some current practices like single keyworded groups, bid optimization and scanning workflow. And also I will cover some practices like how to narrow exact match and top outcomes from some experiments, and also what's new in Apple Search Ads. And at the end of this presentation, I will also share a handy tool to bulk upload keywords and negative keywords to your Apple Search Ads campaigns. To be honest with you, I came to idea of this tool just a few days ago, and it's just released. It's still in beta, and I'm just excited to share it with you. Yeah, here it is actually just a preview of this tool. This workshop is on the selected topics of Apple Search Ads management. If you need more general advice, you can always ask me, drop me a line, or see a couple of free available webinars on YouTube on both basic and advanced levels. And let me start from asking you, what is Apple Search Ads in your opinion? I have several options here. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have several options here. What do you think? Is it mostly just a user acquisition channel? Is it mostly data source, like search terms and performance data by keywords? Is it more a tool to defend your brand on the App Store? Or maybe it's something different, your version? Could you please send me a letter A, B, C, or D in a chat so I can see what is your opinion on that? Yeah, I can see that many of you send all three. Yeah, I think it's, yeah, some of you sent D letter. All of them, two of them. Yeah, that's great. A and B. It's for some of you, it's just C. So it's just a tool to defend your brand on the App Store. I am aware that some companies actually use search ads mostly to defend their brand on the App Store. It makes sense, absolutely. A or C, A, B, and C. I think that most of answers are about combination of A, B, and C: user acquisition, data source, and tool to defend your brand on the App Store. In general, I agree with that this is a combination of these things, but I want to give another view on that, because in my humble opinion, first of all, Apple Search Ads is not about us, advertisers. It's more about people App Store customers and it's more about helping them to discover your app. So it's more focused, in my humble opinion, it's more focused not only on advertising experience, but on user experience of people who are searching for app to find something really great, really gorgeous, so they can download the app they see in search ads. So I think it's always important to understand so that we all should try to find keywords specific for people who are looking for your app, to focus on relevancy, not on many other things like bids, targeting, and so on. Relevancy first. That is what I want to emphasize here. And let's move on to recap of last year. So why Apple Search Ads? Last year I had a talk about reasons to actually run Apple Search Ads, and here's a quick list. It's visibility all over the world, currently in 59 countries. I hope that we will see more countries soon. I'm not sure, but I just have a good hope on that. It's quality, actually, it's a source of high intent customers for your app. So it makes sense to emphasize its quality here. It actually price, which depends on your category, but in many cases there are a lot of affordable long tail keywords, so we can acquire customers at quite a good price. And last but not least is data source, I mean search terms and performance data. Here is the list of strategies from my last year speech. It's basically most of things you can do with Apple Search Ads, from discovering new search terms, probing them, user acquisition, defending your brand, using trending keywords, targeting ads with creative sets, A/B testing screenshots with creative sets, making re-engagement for your app and cross-promo between your apps in the same developer account. Improving your organic rankings with a question mark here, because I don't really believe in this idea to have direct influence from search ads on organic ranking on specific keywords. I more think of indirect long-term effect of acquiring very good user base for your app, very relevant, very engaging. So eventually your app is higher and higher in all organic rankings. And also you can promote pre-order apps with Apple Search Ads. If you know some other use cases, please let me know. Here is just a general keyword migration scheme I have shared last year. It's useful for those who develop their account to some advanced level. And a few words about connection between search ads plus ASO. Well done ASO increases relevancy to get more search ads impressions at better price. Search ads in its turn is a data source for ASO, so we can get new keywords for ASO from search ads from search terms tab. And also you can use your performance data by keywords to prioritize keywords in your ASO. Let's actually start with some new content from my experience of this year. And here, I think we should start with the idea of single keyword ad groups. I use this special account structure a lot. Let's see why. Basically, single keyword ad groups is a special structure which implies that you create separate ad group for each single keyword. You can use both broad and exact match types in this structure. And what you actually get from single keyword ad groups, its advantages, it allows you to measure keyword performance at ad group level. So in normal practice when you want to understand how well different keywords are performing in your products, how well they are converting into purchases, and how well they are generating revenue for you. You have to drill down to keyword level. And with many measurement partners, it makes it is not very easy to drill down on keywords level, and it's much easier to get data on ad group level. This is one of reasons I prefer single keyword ad groups. It's to just get performance data at ad group level. Another reason is that I can put individual negative keywords per each keyword. I will talk about exact match things a bit later, and you will actually see why it's important to be able to put individual negative keywords. And also I can put individual CPA goal, targeting options, LAT on, enable or disable LAT on users, and use creative sets individually on each keyword. Of course, there are some disadvantages or cost of this special structure. Or if you have many keywords, you will have many ad groups, clearly. And it's pretty hard to manage ad groups without automation. Myself, personally, I use automation scripts to manage all ad groups and keywords, so it makes no difference really to me how many ad groups I have in each campaign. But if you manage it manually, of course, it may take some time to manage all these ad groups. And as far as I remember, you cannot add more than 2,000 ad groups in each campaigns, and I not recommend to use more than 1,000 ad groups. There is a reason for that. There are possible issues with measuring your performance if you have more than 1,000 ad groups in each campaign. Of course, it depends on your measurement partners. I'm not sure about all of them, but I think that you should not use more than 1,000 ad groups in each campaign. Let's move on to the next topic of iterative bid optimization workflow. It actually summarizes my practice of increasing performance of campaigns of myself and my clients. Let's start with the funnel. This is a general funnel of search ads. When we start from impressions to tabs and to installs. And with search ads, I think it may be already clear for some of you, but for anyone, I will describe this. There are two kinds of installs on Apple Search Ads, LAT off and LAT on. And with LAT off installs, you can track all the funnel down to trials and purchases inside your product with the help of data from your MMP, measurement partner. And LAT on installs are invisible in MMP. They go to organics, so you can't really measure their performance. And in order to understand how they perform, you can extrapolate data from LAT off installs with this formula on the screen. And one important multiplier here I have is called SR. It's called startup rate. It is about conversion from LAT off installs to MMP installs. It's because on search ads, install is a download of the app, and in MMP, install is a first start. So normally, not all people go from download to starting the app. Some of them can just forget about the app and never start it. So startup rate shows you the rate of people who actually download app and then start it on device. Here is general keywords optimization cycle I use. I go by whole this cycle weekly or twice a week or maybe once in 2 weeks. And it consists of three steps here. First, I calculate bids, so I can put some bids in my advertising account. Then I wait some days to collect data, and I collect data on several levels. I get data from search ads custom reports. Actually, instead of custom reports, you can use API, search ads campaign management API, but it's just simpler to use custom reports if you don't have many automation tools. Also, I get data from MMP reports where I can have all the data about in-app performance. Then when I collect all the data, I made a forecast of lifetime value and startup rates and conversion rates for each keywords, and I use them to recalculate bids. So in this cycle, I always collect more and more data, and then I use this data to further improve my forecasts in lifetime values and conversions to better calculate bids. And if I use single keyworded groups, that this process becomes a bit simpler, because with single keyworded groups, you don't have to collect data on three levels, like storefront, ad group, and keyword level. With single keyworded groups, you can use just two levels, storefront level and single keyworded group levels. And this simplifies the process a lot. On two levels of data, you can actually collect all the conversions, and you can forecast, and you can also forecast conversions for each storefront and use knowledge of typical conversions in one storefront, for example, in the United States, to predict what conversions you will have in United Kingdom or any other country. So this is another actual reason why I use single keyworded groups. It makes me to collect data on two levels instead of three. And here is actual workflow. It's just a schematic graph of what I have typically with our clients. Actually, we start from some basic level of installs. Blue is a number of installs, red is average cost per install, and orange is conversion rates like TTR, CR, SR, conversion to in-app purchases, and so on. From week to week, normally we take about 16 weeks. We do optimizations, we add new keywords, we optimize bids, we increase volumes because of new keywords, and we lower CPI by optimizing bids. And the core idea here is that it's if we combine optimizing bids and adding new keywords, if we optimize bids in the way that we more bid on more relevant keywords and we lower bids on less relevant keywords, then in general we increase our relevancy. That's important to be relevant on search ads. And as far as I can see, higher relevancy allows us to get more taps, more impressions, more taps, more installs at better price. So if you manage to increase your relevancy by optimizing your bids continually, by optimizing your bids to get higher TTR, CR, and other conversions, including in a conversion to installs, I believe that eventually your relevancy grows up, and you can get more and more installs at better price. And that's what actually happens from our experience with a number of advertising accounts. So here is a summary of our workflow, what we use to iteratively scale and optimize accounts. But there are also other approaches to scale accounts. Let me describe them. First of all, I would recommend to always keep your discovery campaigns running. If you don't have discovery campaigns, it makes sense to organize them, because discovery is a great tool to get more relevant search terms. You never know how many search terms are available on the App Store and how many long tail keywords are available for your app at very good price. Consider expanding to more storefronts. Play with bids. Try high cost per tab bid with lower affordable CPA goal, and as well as micro bidding, when you put very low bids on some keywords and you get sometimes very cheap tabs and installs. If you use targeting by storefront, by country, or by gender, or by age, sorry, it's not geo but age here, consider removing it, because if you don't use any age or gender targeting, you will enable LAT on installs, and with LAT on installs you can get up to several maybe 30 or 50, in some cases even 80% more of installs, 80% more, yeah, and it's quite a lot. So if you use age or gender targeting in all of your age groups, consider removing it, and you will have additional LAT on installs. Of course, these installs are more difficult to measure, but still you will get these installs, and you can extrapolate from other data to get more traffic. Use creative sets to increase conversion rates. Also work with your ASO metadata. Try to include top keywords in your app name, subtitle, and try to optimize your ASO on that keywords that can bring you more and more installs on Apple Search Ads. And the last but not least, advice here is to consider tweaking your product to cover wider audience, to cover wider search requests on the App Store, because there are still very good niches there where you can have a lot of traffic with a very reasonable price. I think that's it about scaling. Let's move on to the next topic of experiments. I will share some of my findings from recent experiments. There are not so many data at the moment, unfortunately, but I will share what I can. Normally, it's not easy to share data because of clients' requirements, restrictions on sharing the data, but I have some data I can share. On this screen, you can see the graph, or actually points of connection between actual cost per tabs and CPT bids. On horizontal line, there are CPT bids, and there are a few dots. And as you can see, the higher your CPT bid is, the higher your actual cost per tab is. So be careful when you choose your cost per tab bid, because when you bid more, you get more expensive tabs. At the same time, if you see at the same data points, at the same ad groups, and on the same dates, and compare CPT bids with daily tabs, with higher CPT bids, of course, you get more tabs. And this also looks like a linear thing, that the higher you bid, more tabs you get. But let's not forget that we get these tabs at higher price. And eventually, the most interesting picture here is a profit curve. If we put profit on a vertical axis, then you can see that with low bids, you get cheaper tabs and cheaper installs, but very few tabs. With higher bids, cost per tab is higher and higher and higher, so your profit is actually going down to zero and below zero. You're actually spending more and more money just because you bid too high. Maybe in your strategy, it makes sense because you need to acquire more customers, acquire them fast, or you need to keep your market share. I understand that happens a lot. But if your main target is ROI, that there may be, in many cases, I can say that it looks like there is a kind of optimal bid here. The bid which allows you to get some reasonable number of taps, but to get it at a better price, and in profit curve is a maximum. So in many cases, there is some maximum in the middle of profit curve, which determines the optimal bid you can use to get maximum profit from your search ads campaigns. Also, I'm making at the moment a number of experiments of other things like CPA goal, LAT on performance, different account structures to compare, and so on. It's always difficult to collect enough data, which is statistically enough to make any assumptions of what is really going on there. So at the moment, there is not enough data. I have to be honest with you. I don't have enough data to make like 100% assumptions here. But I'm going to share it later. If you want to get new insight, feel free to subscribe there, and I promise to share new insights on different experiments. And let's better move on to another topic. It's about how you can narrow your exact match to exclude similar terms. Actually, it looks not very obvious, but exact match in Apple search ads is not always 100% exact. Actually, here is a list of examples where I put bid on these keywords, and I've got impressions by these search terms. These keywords and search terms look pretty similar, maybe except the last one. But actually, fasting is just a general term, and fasten and fastic is a competitor term. I mean, it's brand term for one of fasting apps. So here we have different terms. Actually, they look pretty similar, but they are very different actually. And I have to put different bids on these terms. I don't want to bid higher maybe on competitor terms. Instead, I want to bid higher on generic terms, and I want to be 100% sure that I get impressions on what I bid. That's why I looked at this table. It's actually from the complete Apple Search Ads course by Search Ads HQ, our friends. They have this table inside their PDF in their Search Ads course. It's actually match types and what you can actually bid on and what you can impressions by bidding with exact match. And as far as you can see, bidding exact match and broad match is completely different things. And moreover, with negative keywords, you can exclude just write the, if you put some term in negative keywords with exact match, you can exclude just write the exact term. So in this example, if I add these search terms inside my single keyword groups for my keywords as a negative, I will not get any impressions by these search terms. So it solves all the problem. Just check your search term, add them to negative, and you will not get any impressions. At least I haven't seen any examples of getting impressions for search terms which are in exact match negative. So it looks like it solves the problem here. So the advice is to create custom report with keywords and search terms. It looks like this. you add search term and keyword into dimensions, and you can add something to metrics, no matter what. And you create this custom report for any date range. I recommend it to use the maximum date range here. And in this custom report, after it is ready, you can download it, open, and you can check your search term against your keywords and see differences and detect the situations when you bid on some keyword and you get impressions by some other keyword. I recommend do it on a regular basis. And actually, when you detect any differences, it makes sense to add unwanted terms to negative keywords into ad groups where you bid on your keywords. And here's actually another, one more time, I will mention my tool, how to add multiple ad groups in seconds. It actually solves this, this task. I will share this tool at the end of my presentation. And finally, let's move on to what's new in Apple Search Ads. Let's mention recommendation. This is a quite new feature in Apple Search Ads, and it allows you to see recommendation by the platform of new keywords, of changing bids and daily caps. I think that it's quite valuable to see. As for me, the most valuable here is a recommendation of new keywords, because sometimes I can see really good recommendations here. And actually, there is one more feature that was became available recently. It's ad change after user scrolls back. I have mentioned these in United States App Store recently, but also I have seen examples reported by someone in December. So it looks like at the moment that this feature is rolled out, at least in the United States. And actually, it automatically changed the impression to another app when user scrolls down to some position in organic results and then scrolls back up to search ads impression. And I think it makes more impressions available in search ads. So eventually, maybe it will lead to more and more impressions you can get from search ads. I think it's good. Also, there are some additions in the new Search Ads API that became available pretty recently. There are two new fields in campaign object, ad channel type and supply sources. And of course, as you can see, there are default values of these fields, but it makes sense to make some to think about it as a possible way to get more ad channel types and more supply sources to search ads, and even think about new placement in search ads. I have no insights on that, but I think it's a very good thing I think it makes sense to think of this as a possible new opportunity that may become available soon on Apple Search Ads. So I'm really excited about that. And just maybe a week ago about that, our friends from Search Ads SQ released their Apple Search Ads benchmark report. Very new, very fresh, with a lot of data, and I totally recommend downloading it because it allows you to compare your you with others in your category, in your countries, and so on. And as I promised, like a bonus, a handy tool to bulk manage keywords on search ads created by myself. Actually, I will let me describe the problem again. Actually, with, for example, with discovery strategy, if you have a lot of discovery campaigns, normally I use separate discovery campaigns for each separate storefront. When you have many discovery campaigns, it makes sense to add every single new search term to all of the discovery campaigns. And without automation, it may take a lot of time because you need to click on every single campaign and add there. Actually, there is some automation tool provided by Apple inside Search Chat's dashboard. It simplifies the process, but I was able, I think, to even more simplify the process by creating this template. It actually allows you to put a list of your campaign IDs and ad group IDs. You can get these IDs easily from your custom reports by creating custom reports with all of your campaigns and ad groups, and you can just once put a list of your campaign IDs and ad groups here in yellow columns. And in blue columns, you can add keywords to add. Actually, there's negative keywords, and there are other columns to add as target keywords. And on another list, there is automatically generated table, as you can see here. It is ready to upload to Search Chats as a CSV file. It takes less than a minute, and you can, with this tool, you can add a list of your keywords as target keywords or as negative keywords to all of your discovery campaigns or all of your different campaigns as you wish. Actually, at the moment, it allows only to upload keywords, but I will try to actually make another feature to change keywords, to change bits, to change their status, to put on a pause or activate keywords and so on. So I think that after maybe several days, there will be another feature to manage keywords with this tool. At least I will try to do it on the weekend. Okay, I think we're done with my slides. Feel free to ask me in any channel. Again, we have a promotion. So, James, do you have any time to answer some questions?
We certainly do, Michael. Thanks for that. That was great. It's great to go into the details there. Yeah, we do have a few questions. So maybe just while we're here, so people can, on the talk page, I think we've got this offer code. If you go to the App Promotion Summit Working From Home site, and yeah, your website is angleconnect.com, right? Connect, maybe you can just paste that into the chat box. So let's dive into the questions. So Naveen is asking, are you making automated scripts via plugging into the Search Ads API?
Yeah, that's right. I use Search Ads Campaign Management API.
And he's asking how you're getting the storefront data while using single keyword optimization.
Storefront data. Yeah, that's quite a good question. There is actually storefront data from Search Ads. I get it from custom reports. It's quite easy to create custom report and add country or region field there in custom report in metrics. And also I needed data from MMP, and inside MMP, it actually depends on your MMP, on your measurement partner. And in AppsFlyer, I use export data geo by date report. It's in export data tab. There is special report geo by date where you have data by countries. And it's quite a tricky thing because you should not use this report by countries. You have to detect countries from your campaigns, because in AppsFlyer, actually, country is where user is located. It's either detected by his IP or location data. But in Search Ads, you should stick to storefronts, which is different, which is actually, I think it's user's Apple ID. What I do, I put storefront name inside my campaign name. So every single campaign I have a mark of its storefront. And when I create geo by date report in AppsLayer, I have all my campaign names and I extract country storefront from the campaign name there in that report. It's not very difficult if you just know a few formulas in Excel. It doesn't take a lot of time, maybe 20 seconds. And what's crucial here is to have storefront name in your campaign name. Or maybe another option is to have storefront name inside your ad group name. But I have to actually say that if you use data from MMP, especially AppsLayer, you should not rename your campaigns or ad groups. You should better create new campaigns or ad groups if you want to rename them, because when you change the name of your campaign or ad group, there is maybe some mess with your data, unfortunately. So if you decide to include your storefront in your campaigns and change your campaign free names, better create new campaigns.
Great. Naveen, I think you should drop Michael a line maybe and continue the discussion on that so we can get through to a few more. Laura is asking, hi Michael, can you tell us more about CPA goal optimization for exact and broad match campaigns? Any difference regarding this approach?
Laura, this is a quite advanced question. I think I have tried to make some experiments on that, but I have to be honest with you, it was quite difficult to get results which I can interpret somehow, so I can make some actionable points on these experiments, because my general view on that is that CPA goal probably somehow limits your maximum cost per tab. So the system tries to optimize you to not to be above your CPA goal. But of course, I wanted to check it and to make some experiments and to see some results, but I don't have still enough data to say exactly how it works. So my general advice is to experiment with that, is to try put higher CPT bid and affordable CPA goal, but not to do it from the very start, because I think the platform needs some time to get some educational data for some learning data for you to optimize on CPA goal.
Great. And Janina is asking, do you think it's good practice to have exact and broad keywords in the same ad group, or is it better to divide them into two separate ad groups?
I would divide them definitely on different ad groups, because especially with broad keywords, you may have a lot of different search terms which generate impressions for your keyword, and broad match is very broad. You will get probably a lot of different terms, and it makes sense to create different ad groups and add different negative keywords to each of these ad groups.
And is there any way you can get benchmarks and for CPT and CPI benchmarks for Apple search ads?
Yeah, feel free to download benchmark reports by Search Ads HQ on their website, and it's full of benchmarks.
Searchadshq.com, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And is the app preview video included in the Creative Sets A/B test?
I think no.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure at the moment, but I think no. It's better to check it on your side.
Someone's asking if organic ranking won't go up if TTR is high on a keyword from Apple search ads.
I don't believe you can really influence your organic rankings of a particular keyword just by buying a lot of impressions on Apple search ads. I think there is more about indirect effect of long-term increase in organic rankings. But anyway, you can try, and with any luck, maybe you will see some results. but actually I believe that it possibly was possible in some early days. I'm not sure about it, but at the moment I don't see many examples of really working examples of when people put a lot of money in their search ads and get a price in organic rankings of the particular keywords. Again, I think it's more a long-term game of increasing your user base with high quality and high intent users and increasing your organic rankings for all of your keywords.
And Yarek PPC wants to know, is there a way to create ad groups in bulk, not manually?
I think that with the generic Apple Search Ads dashboard, I'm not sure that this is possible. You can somehow duplicate ad groups, so you can create some groups manually and then duplicate them. But it's possible with some third-party tools, like to mention Search Ads HQ and Mobile Action Tool and others, where you can actually automate the process of creating ad groups in bulk and do a lot of other things. On my side, I do editing by scripts which work through Campaign Management API.
And on that point, on the tools, do you recommend using a search ad management platform such as Search Ads HQ, searchads.com? You just mentioned Mobile Action as well.
I think that they provide quite a good value in terms of helping you to manage your search ads campaigns. And I don't have very much experience with all of them. I have tried some of them, but generally, yes, I can recommend them. It's of course, it's your decision. Is it worth to include to enable subscription on these services to use them, because they are not free. Again, my position on this is more like I like to do everything on my side, to keep my data on my side, and to be maximum flexible. So I can do everything I need just by writing some scripts and automating process on my side. But of course, for some companies, it makes sense to use some third-party tools like Search Ads HQ, searchads.com. There are also others like Bidalgo and other tools, which can really simplify you the process of search ads management, automation, and so on. At the end of the day, my decision is to do everything on my side, but it's everyone should make their own decision.
And someone is asking where to start on long tail keywords.
Could you please say again?
They're asking what about long tail keywords?
Yeah. Of course. Okay. Long tail keywords is a very quite a general topic. I'm not sure what is the question about, but I can say some words. Generally, you can get a list of long tail keywords from your mind, or from doing your ASO, or from running discovery campaigns. And the last thing of discovery campaigns, I think is quite reliable, because with discovery campaigns, you actually detect search terms which are relevant for your app, because you win auctions, you win impressions for this app. And once you collect 11 impressions for each search term, you can see them in your dashboard and also in your custom reports. Before that, before you collect 11 impressions, they show up as a low volume keywords. And at the end of the day, with discovery campaigns, you can get a list of keywords which are relevant specifically for your app. And I think this is just a great source of data. So I definitely recommend to run discovery campaigns for all of your storefronts, and collect long tail keywords and then bid on them. Choose, pick keywords which are more relevant for your app, and put them into exact match campaigns, bid on them, and measure their performance. And this is actually what we do, and it allows to iteratively scale more and more our accounts.
Got it. And on that, on in terms of keywords which don't have any impressions, even if you've got a high bid, would you turn them off or keep them running?
Yeah, it happens sometimes that you have some keywords you cannot really get impressions on with even very high bids. Yes, normally I try to put them on pause and start again. Sometimes I try to put them into another ad group, but normally it's just a question of your ASO. So if you don't get any impressions for some keywords, consider adding it into your keywords field, into your app on the App Store Connect, or even maybe into your subtitle or app name. Maybe some say that even you can even add it into app description and get some relevancy because of that. I'm not sure about that. But I think first thing you should do is to reconsider your ASO to more focus on this keyword you want to get impressions on.
And have you ever observed that increasing bids on a particular keyword and seen a CPT increase, but then taps and impressions remaining the same? In which case, how do you scale up on those sort of keywords?
Yes, of course, it's possible when the auction changes. Maybe there are some new players on the market. When you see the same number of impressions and taps, but higher cost per tap, just because someone also joined this auction and bidding against you. Here it's important to track this situation, because sometimes it happens that you have some high CPT bids and you get not very expensive taps for a very long time, but once in a while someone also joins this auction, and suddenly you get very expensive tabs, and you are quite surprised that you can see in your dashboard a lot of money spent and very expensive installs and so on. To prevent this, you probably should consider not bidding too high. Even you get pretty cheap tabs, I won't bid too high. And also, second thing is to always have daily cap set on some reasonable level to exclude any unwanted surprises, like a lot of money spent just a single day. Always get your daily cap on some reasonable level. And also, I check my spending against my daily caps on a daily basis. So once I see that some campaign spent more money than usual and it is turned off by daily cap, then I either expand daily cap or lower bids.
And final question, what about creative sets testing?
I have some experience with creative tests. There are two things. You can actually A/B test your screenshots with creative sets, and also you can use creative sets to narrow your messaging on the App Store to some specific search request. About A/B testing, I think this tool is limited. You can test only screenshots. Also, some say that you cannot really manage how much impressions goes to one option A and option B. But I still think that it's possible to A/B test screenshots, and I have some positive results on choosing better screenshots based on that. So feel free to use it. And about targeted ads, I have some cases that companies, advertisers, put some specific screenshots targeted for some specific search request, and then they increase both the TTR and CR by maybe 2 or 3 times, and eventually they get more installs and cheaper installs. It's a win-win situation. So if you have some search requests and you came to an idea of what you can offer in terms of screenshots for these specific requests, I definitely recommend you to put creative sets on your ad groups and to measure results.
Let's do a bonus question for Mireia Rivero. Do you use any other tool to add relevant keywords like AppTweak, or do you rely on Discovery to feed your generic campaigns?
To be honest, I mostly rely on Discovery, but at the very start of the campaign, when I don't have many search terms, of course, I generate it just from my mind, and I start Discovery campaigns. And also at the very start of my campaigns, I sometimes use ASO tools to generate starting list of keywords to target on. I personally use ASO Desk just because of their organic report, which simplifies the process a lot. But also I have experience with AppTweak. It was great actually, and AppFollow as well. And I'm aware there are also other ASO tools, but still I use ASO Desk.
Great. Okay, thanks, Michael. That was good. So people can find you on angleconnect.com, Michael at AngleConnect.
Yeah.
And what's this $100 code for again?
Welcome 100.
And what does that get you?
I could just put on the chat.
Great. And what's that? What does that, is that for Apple search ads, is it?
It's for both Apple Search Ads and ASO and AppGoes and all our services. It's only valid until April 15th though.
Great. Okay, well, thanks for joining us today, Michael. Really appreciate it. I hope we can see you in person in Berlin or London or New York again. And if not, we'll hopefully see you again online. Thank you all for joining and for all the excellent questions.
Thank you very much for making this happen in these crazy days. It's just great that you changed very fast and adapted to this situation, and we can also actually have this presentation online. It's just great.
Great. Well, thank you too. And yeah, I think it's almost, I'm going to be doing a very short Zoom in 15 minutes, just sort of closing remarks, summarizing what we've seen and saying a few thank yous. If you want to turn up for that. All the recordings are available on the Hey Summit site. Yeah, hopefully you can catch up on stuff you've missed, but that was a great way to end the conference, Michael. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice day.